Hello, everyone, and welcome to the big show. This is Investing and Trading Live, sponsored by Trading Academy. If you're a first-time listener, thank you for stopping by. As always, I am your host, Josh Littlequist. Today, we got another action-packed show here today. I do have a special guest. In the heat of Arizona, I have Aaron Warby on the show here today. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're here. I've been glad to get your insight here today on the financial markets. It's good to have a lot of different types of guests with different insights and opinions on how these markets work, how we can take advantage of these markets, but most importantly, how we can trade like the banks and institutions. Our sponsor, Trading Academy, over 27 years teaching people just like you how to invest, how to trade. Whether you're brand new to the markets, don't know a stock from a stick, or if you're a seasoned investor and looking for more consistency, they have strategies and techniques to tackle both. Whether you're looking for income during your working years and retirement, or if you have retirements and you're looking to protect them or to grow them. Some people are looking to create ones. There's concepts and techniques designed for that, but it's also using the right asset. So Aaron, I got a few questions here for you. I know we got a short amount of time here to talk about these markets, but these markets are showing huge opportunities this week. We talked about yesterday on the podcast about Jackson Hole and the Fed and I think it was on Thursday. It was kind of a snoozer on Thursday. As you've seen, the market opens up higher on Thursday, but actually shows a pretty good drop on Thursday into the early afternoon, and we know what happened Friday and everything. What's your take on what's going on with the markets, the volatility that we're probably going to see here in the future, and the opportunities for our listeners?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we've got a lot of opportunity, and you said that we've got a lot of opportunity this week. It's going to be a little bit of a juxtaposition this week, because I think that our biggest opportunity comes on Friday when the Jackson Hole, while the Jackson Hole event is going on and the Federal Reserve, Mr. Powell makes his announcement. We're going to see a lot of volatility around that. Volatility can be scary to some, and especially if you don't know how to work in the markets and you haven't been trained. But just an outstanding opportunity for some really fast and beautiful gains in the short term.
Yeah.
During some of that action. So understanding how to use it and the most likely areas where we're going to see that kind of volatility, I think is really key if you're trading. You want to trade effectively.
Yeah, so let's talk about that how-to. And we talk a lot about on the show about supply and demand, which is how the markets work. And it's very similar to how anything in our life works. If there's more demand for, we'll call, let's say, a house, price is going to probably go up. If there's more supply of houses out there, right, prices most likely come down. And it's very similar to the financial markets. Now, the how-to, how do you identify, what does that kind of, in a nutshell, look like?
Well, I think that you mentioned it at the very beginning. You've got to trade like the banks. And what that means is that, the banks, when they start trading, they're trading a lot of money. And because they trade in a format that is predictable, if you know what you're looking at, then we as smaller players really have the choice of either trading like the average Joe out there that doesn't know what they're doing and just kind of guessing at whether it's going to go up or down, or simply looking and seeing what the rhythm of the banks are and tagging along with what they're doing. So we're going to call it supply and demand, because when the big banks come in and start selling off, they're selling an awful lot, and that's going to overweight the sell side of things, overweight supply. And we're going to have a drop in whatever they're selling. And then on the opposite side of that, if they're coming in and buying, then we're going to see that that's where we've got the demand, and it starts pushing upwards. Being able to look at the charts and start identifying where they're doing it for any trader out there that's doing well, it's probably part of their strategy.
Yeah, and where you find that, as you were just alluding to, is on a price chart. A lot of people
Absolutely.
that they read books and watch the University of YouTube, all that garbage that's out there. It's all retail strategies, and banks and institutions know what the public is doing. And, they can set traps out there for them. And that's why we need to trade like them. The great thing about that is you don't have to be a bank to trade like them. Now, in about 1 minute, just explain for the listeners here, when you're identifying supply and demand, it could be millions of orders or thousands and thousands of orders that the institutions are moving. Why is it so important to identify that in a zone, not an exact price?
Well, so the zone indicates, kind of the fight between the buyers and sellers. And there's going to be some wiggle room in there because, the big institutions come in and they have their areas where they want to drop it. But it's going to reach those areas and maybe very quickly be dropping out or push a little bit through. They're going to let it push a little bit through before they drop it. You want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. And so instead of picking an exact price, picking an area of price is kind of the best strategy in making sure that you both get into the trade but also be very efficient about your risk.
Yeah, so minimizing that risk.
Minimizing the risk.
That's the only way you can minimize your risk is have an entry point, a stop loss when you're wrong with a small risk, and then you get out at your targets. And the great thing about these computers, the platforms these days, they're very sophisticated. It'll actually do it for you. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. But basically what Aaron is saying is you don't have to pick the exact price to get in a position or out of position. And that's the beauty of supply and demand. It's an area of interest where you're willing to put some of your capital on the line. But you got to keep that small, keep that risk small and that reward much higher. And then that way, we were talking about this yesterday as well, you don't have to be right every time. To be a successful or a consistent, we'll call it, trader or investor, let's say 3 to 4 or 5 times out of 10, you should be profitable with proper capital management. And in these investing classes that I'm about to give away seats to, we go through these concepts, these techniques, how the institutions are buying, how they're selling, and most importantly, how to manage your capital with low risk, high reward, high probability entry points. So I want to invite you to an investing class right here at the Academy. We have a state-of-the-art facility. We have other locations all across the metro area as well. And these are classes where we've taught thousands, just like you, are many strategies which are designed to teach you to make smarter investing decisions. So simply, I'm going to give a call number. I'm going to give you actually a text here so you can text in and our landing page. So if you're driving, you might want to pull over. Text the word investing to the number 210-210, and that's going to be for 2 seats for an investing class. When you text that in, you're going to get a text right back, and it'll actually be our landing page. Then you can pick your own date on there. So text the word investing to the number 210-210. That's for 2 seats. Also, you can go online. Just go to learnwithota.com and pick your own dates there. Learnwithota.com. We've got a lot more to come here. I'm going to keep Aaron on the show here. He's got a lot more to discuss on income strategies and wealth strategies. This is Investing and Trading Live. We will be right back.